And let me get started, okay? All right, hey guys, my name's Chris Rivers. For those of you, I think I've been able to meet everybody. Jeanette, I don't think I've met you yet, but I'm glad to. I think we've got someone from almost every campus. Let's just go ahead and get started. So let me pray for us, then we'll jump in. I'll try to keep this real short, and then we'll jump in, okay? Lord, thank you for tonight. Thank you for technology, that we can meet like this. I pray that you would continue to use us to equip people. Thank you for the opportunity to serve and what it means for us. I pray that you would just rally us together. God, help us create change, and especially as we move this Connect thing down the field, I pray that you'd help us do that with clarity and effectiveness. And just pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen. Awesome. Okay, guys, so I'm going to cut to the chase and just jump right in. We'll try to keep this real short. I am kind of taking over centrally for Connect Team or Campus Impact. I've gotten some emails from me, so you know that we are slowly changing the name. We have a new brand, and we have some different things that we are doing to create and get Connect Team up and running. Okay, so I've muted some of you guys. I just heard some things in the background. So if you need to unmute and you have a question, there is a chat down at the bottom of the screen. Feel free to chat the group if you have a question. For those of you that are on your cell phone, that might look a little different. I don't know what that looks like, but I appreciate you joining me tonight. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I have been, for the last year, volunteering at our Anderson campus as a campus impact lead. And I can tell you right now, it is a lot of work and it's very hard. And there's a lot of energy that is put into making sure that we create a welcoming environment that connects people to the mission of our church. And so last year, just for some of you that I have not been able to share some of this with, I've been consulting for like 4 years. I have a company called Culture Bus, and I've been doing this for a while, helping teams create vision-centered cultures. And so last year, I met with Matt Williams and Bill White, and they said, "Hey, look at our guest services. Like, tell us what you think." And I think that was their trick in getting me to just carry some weight. I think that's what they do. They trick us into carrying weight, and then we say yes, and then we carry more weight. Those guys, they're suckers. But I love them dearly, and I started to learn a lot about what we do. And we do a great job at our campuses. I mean, I've been able to visit almost every campus. I've been able to talk to a lot of our campus pastors. And so as I've been doing this for the last couple of months, I just like contracting work for them and going through every resource we had. I did some surveys. If you remember, Laurie, I don't know if you were a part of some of those surveys, but we basically learned a lot of different things. We learned that, there's some resources that could be shared to our teams. There's just a lot of opportunity for us to get on the same page and help you guys. Maybe not standardize things as much as give you resources to be able to recruit people more, to be able to create real clarity and direction in what we do. So I'm going to share with you guys tonight kind of a game plan. I'm not going to have everybody introduce themselves tonight because I got a fun thing that I want us to do for the next time we meet, and I'm going to share that. So I want to try to keep this real short and let you guys do your thing and go hang out with your family. So what I'm going to do is I am going to present what's called the game plan. As I have been consulting and coaching for the last year with Grace, and really kind of learning, they asked me if I wanted to come on staff, and I was like, yes, I want to be a part of this church. Give me more to do. I'm like so grateful to be here. So technically I'm the director of ministry projects, which means really nothing at all other than the fact that I'm doing a lot of stuff. And some of that is Central Campus Impact or Connect Team, which is what we're changing the name to. And then the other piece is I'm working closely with our campus pastors to execute on projects. So like, for instance, I'm working right now on creating like a website that has all of the resources that campus pastors need to do things like discovery, foundations, Azare, men's round table. So I'm going through everything that we've done in the years past and looking at how can we centralize those things so people can easily access them. I fly a lot, and so when I fly, I go to like an airport to get to where I need to go. And so imagine building an airport for us as a staff, not just campus pastors, but as a staff, that we can get what we need. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight, but let me just jump in and kind of show you what the game plan looks like. So you've seen the Connect Team logo, I'm sure. I've shared that. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screens here. This is kind of the new brand. So let me go ahead and present this. This is kind of the new Connect Team brand. We're basically, still under the Grace Church banner, but we are using some different colors. And so everything that I'm going to share with you tonight, I've had to do a lot of work in rebranding it. And so let's just kind of get started and jump in. So the mission of Connect Team, and what we're trying to accomplish at all of our campuses, is to create a welcoming environment for attendees and help connect them to the mission of our church. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. And so as you think about what we're going to try to do, this roadmap, hopefully I'll be able to help you see how we're going to launch Connect Team at all of our campuses. Like, how in the world do we actually do this? So I've created a roadmap that really will prepare staff and volunteers for the integration journey. There's a training module, and then there's like 8 steps that we're going to go through. It'll start with a one-night training. So I've done this at our I've done this at Anderson campus, I've done this at Travelers Rest, and I've done this on our Thursday night campus. And so what it looks like is I'm going to provide your Connect Team volunteers, they're going to be invited to a 2-hour training on your campus hosted by a central staff member of Grace Church, which right now is me. And so this could be done in August or September. It can be done really whenever. We don't have to, do this immediately, because there's some steps that need to take place before we do this training. But I've already scheduled this with Greer. I've already scheduled this with I'm kind of talking with Cole Warren at our downtown campus. So if you're looking at this and you're like, man, we haven't done this yet, this is something that we will do on your campus. So like at Powdersville, Pelham, the goal is to do this at every campus. We've done this 2-hour training at Anderson campus, and we've done it at Travelers Rest. We've done it at the Thursday night service. And so what does that look like? What is that 2-hour training? So volunteers at this training are going to be given resources and an interactive training to help them think through the purpose, process, and people of Connect Team. Okay, so we've got a book that we've created, and what we're going to do is we're going to introduce something called the guest checkpoints. All right, now I know I'm going really fast here, so if you have a question, I can't see you right now because I'm presenting this. Feel free to unmute yourself and just yell at us. Okay, so if you got a question, please yell at me, and I'll try to stop talking. Okay, so this training is based on what we would call the guest checkpoint. So we did this recently at Travelers Rest. And so what's going to happen is Connect Team, your Connect Team volunteers, your Campus Impact volunteers, you can call it Campus Impact until we change your name. Like, we're going to do this organically. We're not going to make you change your name yet until you've gone through this training. Okay, so I'm calling them Connect Team volunteers, but if you haven't done this yet, they're technically your Campus Impact volunteers. But they are going to be shown footage of a first-time guest experience. And then they're going to be given an opportunity to wrestle with 7 questions that every guest is asking. Okay, so I am going to, this is an example, I'm going to go to Greer in the next couple Sundays, and I am going to do a guest experience. I will videotape that experience from the moment I turn into the parking lot to the moment that I sit in my chair in the service. And there are 7 questions that I'm asking as I play that footage. I've done this so far with our other 3 campuses. Travelers Rest is an example. And when we did the training, We're basically going to have all of our volunteers come to this 2-hour training. We're going to think through these 7 questions together. So, we'll have a construct up on the wall. It'll look similar to the little image that you see on the left-hand side. Everybody will have a book, and we'll talk about, these questions that guests are asking. And we'll help them kind of wrestle with things, and we'll help them think through things, and they'll get to rank how they think they do on these questions. So example, one of the questions is, where do I park? And so your entire campus impact team will get to rank how they feel our entire campus impact team does at parking. Like, how do we do? What's clarity of signage? What about people presence? And so they'll have this sheet where they're able to rank. They'll be able to talk amongst themselves, and then we'll talk about it. We'll tally up all the numbers and, have something real fun where we'll it'll be very interactive and very collaborative. And then at the end of the training, we're actually going to play the video. So they've wrestled, they've thought, they've ranked themselves for the whole training, and at the very, very end, they will actually get to watch what they just ranked. It's going to be really fun. I've done this with lots of churches, and it just creates a lot of momentum and helpful thinking. And so what we'll end up doing, this is just kind of a quote that Scott gave us, but he did this training with his team recently, and he said that Connect Team training was a great tool to create a greater self-awareness of our Connect teams as they watched actual footage of a guest visiting. Everyone left with a greater understanding of the importance of their roles in helping us to make disciples. And that's really what Connect Team is going to position to be able to do. That's what our hope is, that as we expect guests every Sunday, as we all are thinking in the same lens, we're asking these 7 questions, it will help us to make disciples. And the one thing that I've learned about Connect Team is that it is an on-ramp into every ministry that we offer at Grace. So, this is really powerful. Our volunteers, they carry a lot of weight, and it is incredible to see what we can actually do. So I'm very excited about that. So what will happen once we kind of finish the night, we will introduce the Great Grace Church's handbook. Okay, now this handbook is an example handbook that we've made from Anderson campus, from Thursday night, from Travelers Rest. So we've taken some ideas of what we've already built. And this handbook kind of describes the principles and best practices we use to accomplish the mission of Connect Team. Okay, so everybody will be able to have this book. It's going to have pictures in it. It's going to talk about basically the purpose. Okay, so our purpose, which is why we welcome members and guests. So there'll be a whole section designed for that. There will be the process, which will be how we welcome members and guests. And we will talk about the people, which are who welcomes members and guests. So we're not going to go into real big depth into the training, but we're going to give them this book, and we're going to be able to say, hey, this is what we're shooting for in the next several months. Oh, and by the way, we're changing the name to Connect Team, if you haven't already noticed. Okay, so it gives us an opportunity to really say what we want to help people understand, cast some vision, and also be able to really create some discipleship momentum. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And so what will happen after this training is that you and I will go through the campus game plan. Okay, so what is the game plan? The game plan is another book. You're like, good gracious, Chris, how many books do you have? I got a lot of them. But this book is the how-to guide of building the leader book. So the idea would be is that each campus would have their own book. So when I did some surveying of our campuses, one of the things that I realized in our surveys is that many of you said that it would be helpful if we could have kind of like 80% standardization of resources, but like 20% uniqueness. Okay, so this game plan is going to help us create that uniqueness. I mean, what we do at downtown is different from Greer, but there is some similarities. Like there is some sameness that we work on. We're going to keep some names and some familiarity of names, but like where people stand and like how they do communion. I mean, some stuff is same, some stuff is not, but we're going to work through this on the game plan. Okay, so this will be our process, and as we do that, we will begin to launch the 8 modules, so to say, or the 8 learnings. Okay, so let's talk about that real quickly, unless anybody has a question. Does anybody want to unmute themselves and have a question yet? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Unmute yourself, ask me a question if you got one, but let's kind of talk through these 8 ideas. So the first one is creating a Connect Team central hub. Now, a central hub is an online location that contains relevant information for your team. And the central hub is going to help them stay up to date and give access to important tools to help them accomplish ministry objectives. So let me give you an example of what this looks like, guys. This is the Connect Team Hub. If you want to write this link down, I will definitely share it in an email when we finish, but it's just bit.ly/Connect Team Hub. Now, if you don't have the ability to write that down because you're using your phone and that's the only thing you use, to do that kind of stuff, just don't worry. I'll email this to the team. But this is going to be the central Connect Team Hub that we're going to use for all of our campuses. Okay, so when you think about what I just shared, the leader handbook and the game plan, every resource that I'm going to share with you is going to be digitally provided for you. Okay, so this is really powerful. I mean, it's just easy access. So we're just using Google Docs here. You can see that this is the handbook's purpose, which if you were to click on one of these things, you would be able to read what the purpose is. Okay, it's just a simple document, but you'll have the book too. So this will be something that you'll be able to reference. I know there's lots of people that like to read things, and so you can see what the book looks like. But there's a lot of times where we just need to have a digital copy of it. So maybe we share with a volunteer. We just have easy accessibility. I think that's one of the things that I'm learning most right now, is that in our culture, for us to help people, move towards real discipleship, we have to create accessibility because there's busyness. And so I'm hoping that this will help us find what we need quickly when we're doing ministry and we have questions and we're trying to onboard volunteers and help them understand what we do. Okay, so each section of the book has a purpose section. There's a process section. So everything that we're going to go through in our trainings will be referenced here. And the people side, the responsibilities, and then the game plan, which is what I'm going to take you through, which are these 8 modules that I'm going to work you through. So like Connect Team, create a Connect Team Central Hub. You can see that there's one right here for us as a Grace campus, but my hope is that you'll have your own hub for your campus. Okay, everybody celebrates and says yes. Now you're probably like, how in the heck am I going to do that? Don't worry, I'm going to help you. Like, I'm going to carry a lot of that weight, but I'm going to help you build it, and that's what the purpose is of the game plan. So some of these things that are black right now, I just haven't finished branding. The ones that are light blue, I have, and you can see some of those. But hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to keep going. So let's keep going through the rest of the process. So far, the first step is that we're going to create a central hub. That's our first objective. The second step is we're going to clarify your Connect Team process. So many of you probably already have a parking team and a welcome and greeting team and a guest services team and an usher team and a safety team. You probably have all these other teams. But what we're going to do is we're going to establish the process that we use. So this is going to be really fun. It's going to be a way for me to come on the campus and spend time with you and look and see where people are serving and, what are the best positions. And so we're going to clarify a lot of that so that when you bring on a new volunteer, all you got to do is hand them this book. It's like, yeah, there's some relational capital that we're going to build, but you'd be able to hand them a book and they not would only be able to see what an usher does and where an usher is supposed to be and what his process is for executing the mission, but also what every other ministry can do at your Connect team. Okay, so it's going to be very powerful and it's going to create a lot of clarity and synergy. Okay, so the third thing that we're going to do is we're going to launch the Lead the Connect Team Huddle. Now, the Connect Team Huddle, it reminds everyone of the purpose of Connect Team. It gives current information of ministry events and it encourages your team to model a posture of servant leadership. We've got lots of example huddles. I'm going to be sharing kind of tips for expecting guests. That's going to be something new that I'm going to launch in the next month. And it's just going to be different ways that you can bring value to your huddle. But oftentimes I find just bringing everybody together to do a single huddle is a great way to kick this off. We just started doing this at our Travelers Rest. I think one team of the Campus Impact team was doing a huddle. And so once we launched our training, we basically pitched this idea that like we'd like everybody for a season to be doing a single Campus Impact Connect team huddle. And so we're going to talk about what that looks like and how to lead that effectively. The fourth area is create your team responsibilities. So we're going to talk about building the parking, welcome and greeting, guest services, usher, and safety team responsibilities. Now, these might be different at some of your campuses, and we're going to work through that and try to customize some of that, okay? The fifth section is build a volunteer diagram. If I had a book in front of me, it would basically be like a 30,000-foot view looking above. You're looking down at your campus, and you can literally see on a piece of paper where every volunteer serves, like in your halls and the parking lot. And it just kind of gives some direction to know where people are. So we're going to talk about building one of those. That's going to be really fun. We're going to talk about managing your Connect team schedules. So many of us use different forms of scheduling, and you can use whatever you want. Like, I'm not going to make you change. This is a unique thing, but I do have a very easy scheduler that you might want to start using. And we'll kind of talk a little bit about that and how to empower leaders to take ownership and lead independently using those, okay? Our seventh area is to communicate effectively with your team. So I'm going to give you some example communication strategies for keeping volunteers engaged. And we're going to give you lots of resources for that so you could plug and play different templates that you could use. There's work that will be involved for you, but it's like you're already doing the work. I'm just going to give you examples. And my hope is that I can learn from you what you're doing so I can share that with our other campuses, because, man, the more that I spend with everybody, the more I get better. Because I feel like I'm learning different things that each campus is doing that like another campus doesn't even know about, and they need to know. So this will be really great. This is probably 95% of the problems that we have on Connect Team would be solved if we just communicated a little bit better. And so we'll talk a lot about that during that process. The eighth piece is celebrating and evaluating the mission. So I'm going to help your team see what's working and what's not. I'm going to be frank, but evaluation is the best way to equip your team to make the changes needed to experience greater things to celebrate in the future. So I've got some digital ways of us being able to do this. I've launched this already at our campus, some of our campuses that are doing Connect, and it's just been real helpful to be able to create momentum and evaluate what it is that we're actually doing, okay? So, guys, I know that was a lot of information. You're probably like, whoa, wow. And I'm going to email you guys this. All you have to do is we need to get together and figure out when we're going to do a 2-hour training. If you want to do that in August, if you want to do that in September, if you want to do that the next month, that's okay with me. But we need to probably try to do something before, October. Okay, I would love if we could try to do that. So that's really everything that I was going to share tonight. Of course, this is recorded, so I'll get that to everybody. But I'm going to just unmute everybody real quick and just see if anybody has any questions. Does anybody have anything that they would want to add? Anything that was confusing? Fire away.
Who all would need to be involved in the initial meeting?
The training, the 2-hour training?
Well, even just, you said we needed to get together to schedule the training. I mean, who?
Yes. Laurie, I would say, and Laurie, tell us where you're at, what campus you're at.
I'm at the Spartanburg campus.
Great. So I would say get with Scott Mazingo and ask him who else he wants in that meeting.
Okay.
So every campus pastor is aware that we are launching this. And so they are waiting for you to connect with them. So I would say get with Scott, ask him who he wants in this meeting to set up. But it would probably be you. I'm trying to think of some of the people that you have on the Spartanburg team that are currently carrying weight. I mean, Michael would want to be involved in this, you, and probably Scott Mazinga.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay, great. Any other questions, guys?
This is James Culp. I'm at the Harrison Bridge campus. I think we are, you're talking about getting people together. Campus Impact at Harrison Bridge, some of the terminology, some of the things we need to work through. But we have an usher team. We have what we call our greeters is campus impact.
Yep.
We have a parking team. Would we be bringing all those folks together under this new brand, connecting team or connect team?
That's right, James. Yeah, absolutely. We are, if you are a parker, if you are a greeter, if you are a guest services, hospitality, usher, coffee, safety, everything, all of those teams are going to live under the Connect team umbrella, and they would want to be at that training.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about it from a logistics standpoint. Not that we can't do it, but to get as many people together. Just on our greeting team, we're at 45 people. Yeah. Usher team, there's 8 to 12. There's 2 teams there.
Yes.
And there's 6, 8 in each team. I don't know if you would, and then parking team, there are 2 teams there, and there's probably 10 more. I just thinking out loud at logistics and trying to get all these folks together. I like the idea because I think, and then that's not even counting children and the greeting that goes on in children's ministry, that do the same thing we do from standing on the curb, but they're standing in, at the mouth or the entrance to the children's, area.
Yeah. So what I would say, James, to answer your question there, what we did for Travelers Rest, because they have a lot of people on their team, is that they chose their like main leaders of each team, and they just tried to get them and 2 to 3 of their volunteers on that team at the training. Okay. So if you want to try to start there, that would probably be helpful, I think. That's what they did. And they were, they have, I don't know, 75 volunteers. And I think that we had 35 people at the training. We had a representative from every team, basically. So if you could get a representative from every team, I think that would be a good start.
Well, and I can tell you at Spartanburg, we do mandatory training for all the childcare volunteers. And it's amazing how many people are able to come when you offer free childcare so people can attend, and free ice cream or some free food is a really good incentive for people to come.
I'll come for free ice cream.
Exactly. See?
And I would say that you want to do this. This is really important. This is probably a humongous thing that we're trying to accomplish right now. So Travelers Rest, they did a dessert dinner. We did it from 6:30 to 8. We did it from 6:30 to 8 and realized we could have had 30 more minutes. It would have been really helpful. And so they had a dessert. They actually introduced their new Connect team leader. And so they didn't have anybody leading Connect team. And so that was we did the training and then introduced the lead. And so that would be very helpful if you do provide that. They had to do it in the rabbit hole. So they don't really have a facility. They've got this building called the rabbit hole, which is kind of funny. But we did it there and it worked out really well. And so, I would say if anybody wants to learn from this process, I can connect you with Matt Ambrose and he can give you any pointers that he's had. All right, any other questions?
I just want to tell you thank you. That's all really good information. I had no idea all that was even going on. So I appreciate you taking the time to give us all that information.
Oh, great. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been working hard and I've been learning, and it is a lot of information, and I'm excited to be able to really get all of us together. I feel like all of us have more to give to this. I feel like I've just kind of scratched the surface, and so I'm excited about what everybody's going to be able to bring to this table, and I think it's really going to help take our church to the next level. One of the things that I've realized is that oftentimes we accommodate visitors, and if we could just switch our mind a little bit to begin expecting guests, like a whole nother thing happens. And so So it's not that we're doing anything wrong. I think we're all doing a great job. I'm just hoping that we'll be able to collaborate together and really create something that will be able to be beneficial to the discipleship process that we have at our church, because it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing, right? And so what we get to do is amazing. And so I think the Connect team really does fuel the on-ramp into those other areas of our discipleship process. So this is real exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. So great. Any other questions? Cole, Christian, you guys got any questions? You good?
I'm great. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, good. Christian, any questions? Christian's at Espanol today. I took him to lunch. I almost killed him. I hit somebody. And it was kind of funny. But I just hope he doesn't think I'll ever try to kill him. That's all I'm going to say here. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, guys, I appreciate you very much. Like, I really value this time, and so I want to get off. So I'm going to record.